Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to another episode of Fake Men of History, the Explorer series. That is a slight change in title from when the series originated several months back when we looked at Ferdinando Magellan. Remember, there were parts of that story that just didn't seem to add up, and I think that trend will continue here with Ponce de Leon today. Juan Ponce de Leon, the famous Spanish explorer who was looking for the fountain of youth. Now, anybody that would be looking for something like that, there has to be something mentally wrong with somebody who would want to search for a fountain of youth. I don't want more than one day than what this natural body will give me. So we'll explore the nonsense presented by Not Milk regarding Ponce de Leon in just a few minutes. However, this is somewhat relevant. I have lunch with my dad's friend who's over 80 years old. And if there's one person in earth in earth as it is, and on earth as it is in heaven. If there's one person that found the fountain of youth, it's my dad's 80-year-old friend who found it in Puerto Rico. I'm not even joking. I might as well tell you that's much more interesting than the life of Ponce de Leon and the lies that the Not Milk will present in Wikipedia. Let me tell you the story of what happened to him. Okay, guys, I sat here for a few minutes thinking about the elements of the story as he told it, but this is in no way a joke. Is he really living out life now like the portrait of Dorian Gray not aging? No. But in terms of where this legend and lore came from regarding the Fountain of Youth, he came back from Puerto Rico. I said, based on what happened to you, this is where the legend of the Fountain of Youth came from. And we looked at each other as like, yeah, that's right. You're looking at a picture of, it says, El Yunque National Forest, Puerto Rico. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. I'm just going to say PR because the Philly will come out. Puerto Rico, Porter, P-O-R-T-E-R. You don't want that either. Just PR. He's been there 20 times, not just to the rainforest. Porter, PR. He would take student groups there in the late 70s through the 80s. From my high school, Upper Merion and Methacton and Plymouth Whitemarsh, and he would get groups of kids and they would do for the Spanish classes. He taught Spanish. Anyway, so he continues to go down every so many years. It's his place. He likes speaking Spanish. He always likes to go down and find the El Yunque, the national forest, the rainforest. And he's been there so many times, he knows places where only the locals go, put it that way. The tourists are likely not going to find these places. So I don't know. He was heading out to this. It's like a pond or a pool. It's not a hot spring, but he knows a lot of locals go there. I'll try to keep this now under 2 minutes or less. They head down and they finally found it. There's a waterfall. I don't know. There's like 15 or 20 locals, no tourists, in this pool. And he had some health issues at the time. I'm not going to give any specifics, but he wasn't feeling great at all on this trip. Some pretty bad things. Okay, and he says, I'm not going to, he was with his son. His son at the time was, say, in his early 20s. He said, I'm not going to go in. You go in the pool. You know, we've heard about this place from locals, whatever. I don't know how he found it. Somebody tipped him off. So his son goes in the pool. The water's extremely cold for the hot, humid. It was probably the summer. It's coming up from the ground like a mineral springs. Anyway, his son gets out and says, I never quite felt like this. I don't know what's going on, but you have to go in. Well, no, I'm not going to go in. You know, you have to go in. Trust me. It's freezing cold. I don't know what's going on. You know, his son didn't have any health issues. Anyway, he goes in, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. He gets out. He tells me the story. He said, I've never, ever felt like that. Whatever health issues I had were gone. He said they had to walk all the way up through the rainforest to get back to where they parked the car. He said, this is not somebody that's running marathons or is doing a lot of physical. He just trudged up the hill like it was nothing. He said, I don't know, I've never felt this before. I said, how long did it last? He said, for really big time for 24 hours, a little bit for 48 hours, and then it wore off. And I said, you know that legend? Wasn't even thinking like this. I said, you know the legend of the Fountain of Youth and Ponce de Leon and other explorers were looking at in the Caribbean and different islands? You basically found it. Or in terms of what people describe happens when you go into these mineral springs, or it could be an electricity in the water. You basically found what they call the Fountain of Youth. Now, he didn't think oh, wonderful, now I'm not going to age. No, it's not that. It's just that legend turns into that. I mean, we are convinced this is where it came from. He looked at me and he said, the health issues, how horrible I felt, and they were internal issues. He was seeing he says it completely went away. And I went up that hill, up that mountain, like I was 30 years younger, with a strength I've never had before. He raved about it. I said, you found the fountain of youth. That's what these pools, this is where the legend came from. And who knows why it happens. I don't think minerals soaking into the skin would do it. Could be an electricity, an energy that's tapped into the earth itself. So these are the stories, I believe, that probably got back to this not-milk loser, Ponce de Leon. And this is basically, I have lunch with somebody that was in the Fountain of Youth. I'm not joking. I haven't spent much time looking at this guy yet, guys. We do this together on the fly. He's always depicted as pointing, some sort of not-milk inside joke or something. Stop. 3 or 4 pictures out of the 5 I've seen, he's pointing, including an erected statue. 2 things are pointing. Stop it. What? Oh, boy, here we go. Sorry, guys. As usual, we have to start here at Wikipedia to see what their fake not-milk history is telling us. But we're very fortunate there's not a big pop-up from Wikipedia, big green box asking for $2.75 this time. So that's good. Let's try to get out of Wikipedia before it starts soliciting us. What does it say under the picture? An unauthenticated 17th century engraving. Well, of course it's unauthenticated. It was in the 17th century. It was done. He was born in 1400. How could it be authenticated if he was dead? What the hell's Juan Ponce de Leon was a Spanish explorer and conquistador, known for leading the first official European expedition to PR in 1508 and then Florida in 1513. He was born in unpronounceable de Campos in unpronounceable Spain in 1474. The little is known about his family. He was of noble birth. Oh, there you... Make sure we know he's a bloodline of some kind. Make sure we know that. Served in the Spanish military. Just like Prince Albert or Prince Harry did with that fake Afghanistan tour. He first came to the Americas. You know what Prince Harry did in Afghanistan? Play pinball. He first came to the Americas as a gentleman volunteer. Oh, sure. With Christopher Columbus's second expedition. He's associated with that villain? You're already keeping the wrong company, Juan Ponce de Leon. By the early 1500s, Ponce was a top military official in the colonial government. Well, of course. The government of Hispaniola. That, by the way, guys, they called that one island, which is now Dominican Republic, and the other island the other side is Haiti. Did Dominican Republic build a gigantic? There's a lot of tourists that go to the one side. They don't go to Haiti, by the way. Tourists don't go to Port-au-Prince if they want to survive. They should They should go study the Great Wall and build that. I wouldn't feel comfortable as a tourist. I'm sorry. Every time you turn around, there's murder in the streets of Port-au-Prince. It's not a safe place. Who the heck would want to vacation just on the other side of the wall? I want to be on a whole separate island of that place. Sorry. He was authorized to explore the neighboring island of PR in 1508 and to take office as the first governor. Here we go. The first governor of PR, appointed by the Spanish crown. Guys, I usually remind people of this right off the bat when we start with Not Milk Travel Tours or Fake Men of History. What do? When a Not Milk presents its scripts and its stories, we look for repeating themes that come every single time in a fake world, in a fake reality. Okay, here it comes again. It's the same thing every single time. AI overview. Hey, thanks. AI overview. Were there any natives on PR before the Spanish arrived? Oh, here we go. Screw over the natives. Yeah, that repeating theme's coming again. The TAI, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. The TAINO were the first inhabitants of PR, living on the island for hundreds of years before the Spanish arrived. Well, how'd that happen, Darwin? What monkey did they come from, Darwin? There were a subgroup of the Arwakans. The R, don't pronounce that. These are the ones that I think Peter Stuyvesant, I'm not joking, that Peter Stuyvesant, I think, was fighting those Indians or those natives when he lost his leg and became the peg leg. The New York City High School, the mascot, the teams, the basketball teams, I'm not even joking, they're called the peg legs. The track team is called the peg legs. I'm almost positive he lost his leg, Peter Stuyvesant, that's right, that's life, fighting those indigenous people. The Europeans come and the repeating theme class is they start to immediately screw over the indigenous. So we jump back here, second paragraph, early 1500s, Ponce, top military official, the colonial government of Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic in Haiti, where he helped crush a rebellion of the native Taino people. They almost present it like it's admirable or something, like it's heroic. Helped crush a rebellion. Why would they rebel? Because these European a-holes come off ships and be like, we own this now. We've been here hundreds or thousands of years. No, we own it. I'm Humpty Dumpty and I'm from Spain. We own it because I say we own it. I claim this for the crown and I'm making myself governor. You're what? Oh, I wonder why there was a rebellion. This is a repeating script everywhere, every time we look at it. Even the damn movie Breaker Morant, which is a great movie I watched not long ago. Breaker Morant, about the fighting between the Crown, 1901, 1902, 1903, in South Africa. The Crown and rebels, people that want to be left alone. Stop with the invasions and the constant exploration, you European a-holes. Sorry. Continuing, Ponce then was authorized to explore the neighboring island of PR in 1508 and to take office as the first governor of PR by appointment of the Spanish crown. And maybe, did he ask a question, raise his hand even once to Christopher Columbus or one of his superiors of the crown and say, so let me get did he question it at all? So you want me to go over to this island? None of us have been there. PR, we're in Hispaniola now. You want me to just land on the beach and declare that I'm the governor. But what if they have indigenous people? You want me to what? Oh, do what we always do. Screw them over, war with them, and kill them. Oh, okay, I know how to do that. Oh, I've been well trained at that. Here's a book on the Arawak, related, of course, to the Taino peoples that Ponce de Leon was screwing over in the last segment. The history and legacy of the indigenous natives in South America and the Caribbean. So when we look at this and notice the scripts of a fake world, it works the other way too. We didn't talk about this side of it yet. How, okay, the colonial powers come in and the crown of this country in Spain and Europe and all the explorers, and they screw over, kill the indigenous people, the Aztecs, the Mayans, whatever it may be, they all go to... How come, we've talked about this, and this is just as fascinating, how come the indigenous never win? Okay, maybe we should talk more about this and spend more time on it. So there's probably not 20 indigenous, right? I mean, you would think, I don't know, they've been here thousands of years, or Darwin would say they came up from salamanders and they must be bacteria indigenous to the island, whatever. How else did they get? Oh, they sailed from Tonga, whatever. Well, there's not 20 of them. There's at least 500, 1,000, maybe 7,000, maybe 80,000. Why do the colonial powers always win? They have guns. Oh, give me a break. Black powder, muskets, I don't know what they had in this guy's 1,500, loading one ball at a time. I mean, yeah, longbows and some cannons. I mean, there's no way if there was even 500 indigenous with their blow dart guns and their spears. How do the colonials or the crown? How does this even work? Why can't if I had to just bet from the first days of the war between the indigenous peoples and the minions of the crown, I would pick the indigenous people. They know where the watering holes are. They know how to navigate the territory. They know which frog back is poisonous. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. The reality script, Not Milk, if you're listening, you should be ashamed of yourself. Look at this, what I found. This art of some kind here is called Arawak Attack. These people were formidable. I mean, they're not the little wusses like Smiles a lot in Dances with Wolves. I mean, look at okay, here comes Ponce de Leon's ship. Oh, PR. We're supposed to declare this for the crown, and this one guy just standing on the beach. I think they would turn the damn boat around. I would have. They would have turned the boat. What good trade? No, sir. We don't want to trade. We're lost. Forget we were even here. We're going to turn the boat around. That one guy, I think this guy could drive the whole ship off. Look at him. You want to go up and push him in a crowded subway stop? See what happens to you. So these people, let me see if I can get some more information on how formidable these Arawak or Tientos peoples are. This is bullshit. They would have won the war against these wussies coming off the Spanish ships. Look at this, what I found. And it says underneath it, PR's Tieno culture. These people have roots to the original indigenous Tieno. Look, they're not steroids. He's in that, remember that pond, that pool, that Fountain of Youth thing that my dad's friend was in. They soak in that. Look at the size of his muscles. That guy standing on the beach, naked, could drive off Ponce de Leon's ship. You want to mess with that guy? I mean, this doesn't make any sense. The indigenous would have won. Well, Matt, this is not Nilk. You say it's always been here. They had a lot more sophisticated technology than what the history books say. You know what? If these stories about constantly going to war with the indigenous people and killing them off and screwing them over, if any of it is true, or most of it is true, they would have had to have some sort of technology to do it. There's no way they could keep taking on these indigenous people that know the lay of the El Yunque, know where to hide in the rainforest. It doesn't make any sense. All right, I guess we're just going around and round, but it's not me. Every time we do this, the Not Milk presents the same script. And why is he always pointing in every picture? He's pointing like a weather vane of some kind. Put your finger back in your palm. Put the other thing back in your fly. He's pointing, Matt, at what countries they're going to screw over the indigenous next. Probably. They should prop him up like Weekend at Bernie's like a weather vane. Look at this part. The contract stipulated that Ponce de Leon held exclusive rights to the discovery of Benini and neighboring islands for the next 3 years. He would be governor for life of any lands he discovered, but he was expected to finance all costs of the exploration and settlement himself. Oh, sure. Governor of any lands he discovered. The people that live there already have no say. They have no say. Of course, they have no ability to fight back. In addition, the contract gave specific instructions for the distribution of gold, Native Americans, and other profits extracted from the new lands. The contract made no mention of a rejuvenating fountain. Yeah, well, we already settled what that pool was all about. I know somebody that was in it, God damn it. So Ponce de Leon equipped 3 ships with at least 200 men at his own expense, oh sure, and set out from PR on the 4th of March, 1513. Identical. 3 ships and at least 200 men. The 3 ships in the small fleet were the Santiago, the San Cristobal, and the Santa Maria. What? Not Noak's getting confused in its own scripts. You already played that script out. What was it? The Nina, the Pinta, and the Pinto and the Santa Maria? Was that the freaking Pilgrims or was that Christopher Columbus? I think it was Christopher Columbus. Well, Matt, it's not confused in repeating its script. Santa Maria was a very common name. It means Saint Maria. It's an ode to the Virgin Mary. Didn't you see the beginning of Goodfellas? When the wedding, they said everybody was named Peter and Paul. Hi, this is my son Peter. This is Paul. It's the same thing. Every other ship, half in the Spanish fleet, were called Santa Maria. And this one's called the De la Consolacion, for somebody that think he just stole Christopher Columbus's ship. It's a different ship, but they're both named Santa Maria. I think the Not Milk's getting confused in how it's presenting its fake stories. Jump to the second paragraph. Herrera wrote that on the 27th of March, 1513, Easter Sunday, they sighted land he described as an island that was unfamiliar to the sailors on the expedition, because many Spanish seamen were acquainted with the Bahamas, which had been depopulated by slaving ventures. Oh boy, here we go again. Some scholars believed that this island was actually Florida, and it was thought to be an island for several years after its formal discovery. Oh, Historian and marine archaeologist Samuel Turner says that Ponce de Leon sighted the Florida coast on Easter Sunday of 1513. What did it say? Marine archaeologist? That's somebody, we talked about these archaeologists in let's say Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, Brown, Columbia. They really don't have to know what they're doing. If they're not sure, they just kind of, as an inside running joke, they just yell, "It's a tomb!" We don't know what it was, but it was a tomb. A marine archaeologist doesn't have to do anything because it's under the water. Nothing can ever be confirmed. These people will have jobs for life. Well, they all do. I hadn't noticed it before, but I just glanced at this picture over his left shoulder. That's all right. Oh no. 2 pillars? Oh, make it stop. Just make it stop. Make it stop. We're tired. Oh, come on. One last segment of this nonsense. Remember, this is the Discovery of Florida section. The precise location of their landing on the Florida coast has been disputed for many years. Some historians believe it occurred at or near St. Augustine. Others prefer a more southerly it happened or not. It doesn't matter what they prefer. Does the evidence point to it or not? I'd prefer if he landed in my backyard. I had a statue of his real self bronzed over right in the back, right next to one of my stoves. They prefer a southerly landing at a small harbor now called Ponce de Leon Inlet. Well, that's appropriate. Some believe that Ponce came ashore even farther south near the present location of Melbourne Beach, Australia? A hypothesis first proposed by Douglas Peck, an amateur historian who attempted to reconstruct the track of the voyage, sailing in his 33-foot Bermuda-rigged sailboat. Really? Make it stop. Is that really relevant, Not Milk? So let me get this straight. A hypothesis was proposed by Mr. Peck. He's an amateur historian, some guy named Peck. Oh, he's a bloodline. He attempted to reconstruct the track of the voyage, and it really is relevant that you have to say he was in a 33-foot Bermuda-rigged sailboat. Although you want to talk about reality giving itself away? Not Milk. This is really pathetic. Continuing, Samuel Turner dismisses this theory, pointing out that Ponce's fleet encountered a storm on 30 March. Oh, no. January, February, March. 1, 2, 3, the 30th, 33 again. Not again. This is inconceivably pathetic, Not Milk. Sailing in it for 2 days with no indication in Herrera of the wind direction or how strong it was, and that this fact complicates any attempt to reconstruct the voyage. Not to mention that Prick's boat was nothing like the Spanish ships. Why would it have to be like the Spanish ships to recreate it? He could recreate it in a damn jet ski. On the 2nd of April, after the weather improved, it's amazing it's not the 1st of April, Fool's Day, Ponce's pilot, Anton de Alaminos, took a navigational fix by the sun at noon in 9 fathoms of water. Did it really just say that? In 9 fathoms of water? I've heard of atmospheres. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay, this is... Let me just scan ahead to see if they're dropping another 33. We're done with this. Wikipedia, Not Milk, as it presents your fake stories through Wikipedia, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is ridiculous. Study.com depicts Juan Ponce de Leon with this subtitle, Spanish Explorer and Brutal Conqueror. As they all are. See, if anybody's new here, we look for repeating scripts in the way reality presents itself. When those scripts repeat over and over and over and over again, it exposes a fake world of some kind. If anybody's new here, I'm not saying none of these people existed as we do the Great Man Explorer series / Fake Men of History. I'm saying that when we look into these stories, when the repeating scripts come up, when the 33s are dropped, when we see these same reality markers, then that takes credibility away from the story in proportion to how many of these ridiculous reality markers come at us when we do the research. So yes, it becomes more and more fake the longer we spend looking at it. For example, here's the explorer Balboa. Now, we haven't done this son of a bitch yet. We've just done two. We're doing Ponce de Leon now. We did Ferdinand Magellan. We'll get to this son of a bitch. All right? Vasco Nunez. When that getting his name? You all remember Nunez from elementary school or junior high when I thought it was just Balboa. No first name, no just Balboa, like just Madonna. Anyway, the point is, guys, when we look at Balboa, if we see things are a bit different, it may lend credibility that this story actually may be real. If we don't see that he screwed over the indigenous, and then the 33s don't come, and the 9 paired with the other number, all the repeating scripts we see over and over with all the explorers. If we see that it's a bit different, then that will lend credibility to the story, if you see what I'm saying. But then somebody could say, Matt, Balboa Park in San Diego, where the zoo is, where they mate the pandas, that's called Balboa Park after a gigantic part of Knottnilk has named itself after the explorer. See, that takes credibility away from the story and makes it more fake. You see how this works? Continuing to look at Balboa, we can examine the rule of statues. And I wasn't expecting this, by the way, guys. Looking for a statue of Balboa, 9 out of 10, you get the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. Rocky Balboa. It is still down by the Art Museum from Rocky 3. So it's hard to between the Italian stallion images, it's hard to find Nunez Balboa. But the rule of statues, if there's statues to somebody like this all around the world, well, at very minimum, they weren't a very nice or good person, and they served Knottnilk. And there's also a good possibility that the backstory is complete bullshit. So going back to wrap up Ponce de Leon today, here it comes again. You just can't make this up. Talking about, again, more landings on Florida. The exact site of their landfall is controversial. Well, you said that the last paragraph about the other landing site. The vicinity of Charlotte Harbor is the most commonly blah, blah, blah. Maybe Tampa Bay or Pensacola, other historic, whatever. Here, Ponce de Leon anchored for several days to take on water and repair the ships. They were approached by the Calusa, a Native American or Indian tribe in Florida that I've never heard of, I guess, because this is Florida they're talking about now. The Calusa, who initially indicated an interest in trading, good trade, but relations soon turned hostile. First of all, how would they know that? How would they know that they were approached by the Calusa, who initially indicated an interest in trading? They would have to have Ponce de Leon's personal records. Those records would have to be artificially carried through time like a stuffed Leonard or a Humpty Dumpty. I mean, it would be in his personal notes. I mean, come on. There's always too much information provided. Too many details is a reality or a fake reality giveaway. The amount of details Herodotus writes down, and we still have to do a video on that, regarding the invasion of the Persians and the Hot Gates and what's depicted in the movie 300. The amount of details is ridiculous. Like every other sentence, you'd say there's no way Herodotus could have known that, just unless he was right there with the army. And then he has the same details on the other side talking about the Persians. It is truly ridiculous, but nobody questions it. How many people reading this would question, well, they were approached by the Calusa natives of Florida who initially indicated an interest in trading? How would anybody know that? In every case, they all have the personal records and diaries of each explorer. It's ridiculous. But here we go. Repeating script has to play out. But of course, relations soon turned hostile, of course. Several skirmishes followed with casualties on both sides. Oh, yeah. The Spaniards captured 8 Calusa, 4 men and 4 women. How would anybody possibly know that? And seized 5 war canoes. And would that even be? See, there's only one way. This is a fake reality giveaway on steroids. There's only one way they would know that, is if it was in of Ponce de Leon's personal notes and diaries, of which were perfectly preserved and kept back through the crown of Spain and somehow made it into academia. But even so, would Ponce de Leon, in a survival situation or as an explorer, we seized 5 war canoes. Is he going to write the number of canoes? Maybe he would talk about the prisoners or casualties, bodies and lives. Is he going to write how many war canoes they seized? And we really give a shit to write that? No. Reality gives itself away in providing too many details. But people read this and they don't even stop to question it for a second. How much detail needs to be provided in these Wikipedia articles before those on the ship of fools may scratch their behinds and say, wait a second, nobody could have known that. What if, after the battle with the Calusa, it says here, I'm just making this up, but would people even question this? Ponce de Leon pulled up a stump on the beach and he cooked himself fritters with 2 teaspoons of oil, and then he had the fish that he caught just a few hours before were red snapper, black grouper, and snook, of which he had a bone stuck in his mouth and his teeth because he didn't fillet the red snapper correctly. How much detail before the people in the ship of fools go, well, wait a second, Harry, how would they know that? Well, it's already at that level of detail of how would they know that. We'll fittingly wrap this up with information about Ponce de Leon's bitter end. Before the settlement could be established, the colonists were attacked by the Calusa, the indigenous people who dominated southern Florida, and whose principal town was nearby. Ponce de Leon was mortally wounded, in the skirmish, when historians believe an arrow poisoned with the sap of the manchineel tree stuck his thigh. Maybe a little bit too much detail there. Maybe history would just record he was killed in battle or potentially hit with an arrow, but we have an arrow poisoned with the exact sap of the exact tree. Not Nilk, you're doing it again. Too much detail. Give me a break. The expedition immediately abandoned the colonization attempt and sailed to Havana, Cuba. Run away! Run away! Our leader's down! Where Ponce de Leon soon died of his wounds. 10 seconds of silence. Just kidding. He was buried in PR in the crypt of San Jose Church from 1559 to 1863, after which his remains were exhumed. Like in Poltergeist? They moved the body, transferred to the Cathedral of San Juan Bautista. Let me look. That must be in Spain. Take the body, Spain. Take his ghost, too. We don't want his ghost in North America. I looked. No, it's just another church in PR. They didn't take the body back to Spain. So you can easily visit it if you want. Anybody interested? Where do we leave off here? Inscribed on the side panel of the altar, tomb. It's a tomb. Is his in the mausoleum are the words in Latin. Oh, here we go. A one world system giveaway. I can't. Mole. Who knows? Latin. It's such a one world system giveaway. The Latin. Don't they speak Spanish in Spain and PR? Why are they using the Latin? Don't they speak English in the United States? Why is the Latin on the dollar bill? I mean, it's such a one world system giveaway. It says in Latin, under this structure, the tomb, rests the bones of a lion, more for his great deeds than for his name. You know what it should say? Under this structure rest the bones of a man who, like all the other sons of bitches, tried to kill off the indigenous and Indian people of this region. That's what it should say. I don't know how to write that in Latin. If anybody does, let me know. Here's the route Ponce de Leon took, at least in the time period or the circumstances that led up to the discovery of Florida or the landing of Florida for the first time. Wouldn't it be funny if this was the exact same route? You could superimpose it over Shackleton's route and some of the others that Notnook was using the same route? It's possible. So, yeah, this is, okay, he had already screwed over the indigenous and Hispaniola, which would become the left side, I think, is Haiti, and the right side is Dominican Republic. He went up in St. Augustine. I guess they're giving credit as that's the first landing spot. Then went around the bottom tip of Florida. Then went up the Gulf Coast and did a loop de loop. He said, I don't like it up here. We're heading too close to Alabama. The Florida Panhandle is pretty much Alabama. He doesn't like those people. And then he headed down towards where Belize is, the coast of Central America. And he says, I don't like that either. And he did another loop-de-loop, missed Cuba. I mean, you should have planted your flag on Cuba. I mean, look at the size of that. Every time I'm Mandela affected, Cuba gets bigger and bigger and blocks off more and more of the Gulf of Mexico. And I guess somewhere along this route here, that's when he gets shot with the poison dart or the arrow that somebody dipped into the back of a frog or something. And then they headed back to Puerto Rico, where take your hats off and we'll do 10 seconds of silence. Just kidding. That's where was laid. The great man was laid to rest there in that first chapel before they exhumed the body, like in Poltergeist, and moved it to the second church or Catholic chapel in Puerto Rico. Now, I want to just take the last few seconds here and basically take back everything I said. This was a great man in history. Everything everything that history says about him is completely real. And I'm going to look for little busts and little ceramics and copper bronzed figurines of Ponce de Leon from Amazon right now. I'm a big fan, and if I said anything disparaging, I take it back. Thanks for listening.